Hello, everybody, and welcome to this next session of the Security Buyer Live series. My name is Rebecca Spain, and I'm the Group Managing Editor for the International Security Buyer Portfolio. And we're here today with a really exciting session delivered by Chris Meiter, the Vice President of Global Business Development, Video Solutions at AMAG Technology, and Grant Cowan, the Vice President of Sales Central at Salient Systems. And they're going to be talking about how to secure the modern campus. So I'm going to hand over to Chris and Grant. Over to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today in our conversation today, AMAG and Salient. We're going to be talking about how we work to secure the modern campus and how video management tied with access control can really help our modern school districts, universities, and other campuses that we work with. Today, hey, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Grant Cowan. I'm the Vice President of Sales for the Central Region for Salient Systems. I've been with Salient for more than 14 years and been involved in the IP video space for more than 21 years in the industry.
Great. Thanks, Grant. I'm Chris Meiter. I'm Vice President of Global Business Development for the Video Solutions at AMAG. I've been in the security industry for over 30 plus years and been involved in IP video for the last 25 years. And I look forward to talking to everybody and meeting everyone later, but great opportunity to talk about what we're doing in the challenges of college campus security. Grant?
Hey, I appreciate it, Chris, and glad to join you today. You know, one of the biggest things that when we walk into our university campuses, there's a lot of challenges that they want to talk to us about and try to figure out how video and access control can kind of work in tandem with what they're already doing. Probably the number one thing that we get, and whether you're a parent, been a student in the past, or a student currently, or just been on a college campus, as you all know, it's a very open environment. There's high traffic. There's a lot of different ways to access that. When we're talking about tens of thousands sometimes of people coming into one environment on a daily basis, obviously you have a lot of different access points, whether it's vehicles or bikes or just foot traffic, a lot of different ways to access these facilities. The other part about it is a lot of our universities, whether it's a town or a city, it directly feeds into the rest of that population. And so those multiple access points tie into different parts of a city, whether it's a suburb, a metropolitan area, whatever it may be. The second thing that we always get that our folks bring to us is there's a large student population, a large employee concentration, and constant activity. Our universities are always talking to us about how they have, workers coming in at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. They have students arriving at 8 a.m. all the way up until 4 p.m. They have a lot of people that are on campus. And then we have a lot of students that are working late, maybe whether it's in the lab environment, at the library, well past 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it's a nonstop activity. It's almost like its own little city where there's constant, different people going about their different schedules. And how do we account for that? And the biggest thing is that, our universities, our colleges, our campuses, they want to balance safety with welcoming environment. College campuses are an environment not only for students, but it's also for people to congregate and to learn and to speak and use their free speech or to have the ability to open ideas. So, as much as our security teams, our safety teams, our police departments would love to lock down these facilities and make it, only where employees and people and students can ingress and degress, or, these are places where we have to have a warm, welcoming environment, but also balance that safety. So, Chris, as you know, these are the top three challenges that come up to us when we walk on campus. So it's something that we're always having to try to dive into. And so when we look at those challenges, Chris, can you take us kind of through some of the security risks that our colleges are talking to us about?
Absolutely, Grant. You brought up a good point. As all of us having children and have gone through the university or the college experience, either I'm sitting on the security side or I'm a parent sitting in the audience listening to the security director tell the parents how they're going to keep my son or daughter safe is very paramount in today's world because of, obviously the things that have happened. But what are they going to do? They're going to, how do we control the buildings? Because we know, kids will be kids, and preventing, people going in unauthorized areas and doors propped open and things like that are a big concern for the security individuals. Well, today our technology allows us, with the synergies of the access control and video, to create alerts that can inform the officers that are doing their patrols that maybe a door's been propped open or a door is not working properly, and that might be a risk for that dorm or that facility. And obviously, theft and property crime is always an issue with the laptops, bicycles, and things like that. You mentioned, Grant, is always a concern. And today, the number one thing is the issues with the violence and the active shooter threats. And as we talk to the security individuals, they have a lot of different things that they have to deal with. It literally can be something as simple as a rivalry team coming to town, and we have to double the amount of security staff that we have at that game because it's such a rivalry and we've had issues in the past. It can be somebody coming on campus to, do a presentation that a lot of the people may not agree with it, so now we've got to ratchet up our protection for those type of things as well. One of the things that I've learned through, the experience of working closely with all the campus environments is that the more communication we have between all of the individuals within the organization is so paramount. The ability not only to have the security department know how to manage an active shooter situation, but the staffing to be able, and that includes everybody within the organization. A lot of people miss that. The school staff, the teachers, need to be educated on what to do in case of an emergency in those type of situations, where to go, where to hide, how to secure the doors in their classrooms. This should be practiced. The other thing that's very important is that they recognize what the difference between a gunshot and a firecracker sounds like. And these things are very, very important. So, having this education prior to an incident, and as they say all the time, it's not if it's going to happen, it's when these certain security applications or issues are going to come to arise. We have a lot of issues today with harassment and assault and, the bullying, whether it's a college campus, a high school campus, or whatever. It's always an issue that we have to deal with and make sure that, when we have complaints about social media things and stuff, we react on those and be able to help them and maybe better monitor those type of facilities and those people. And obviously parking lot and transit risks. As Grant mentioned, some of these campuses, a lot of people coming in on a daily basis that might be remote. Some of them might be on campus in the buildings and dorms and things. And how do we manage that? How do we use the systems to better manage traffic control and keep down on, people speeding through campus and stuff that create a risk of, running over someone or something like that? And then obviously, as I mentioned before, the crowd management at events is so important that we can do that very effectively and give the capability to do that. In a lot of environments that we have, obviously, a high percentage of the issues come from insider threats. We see this time and time again. So the ability to better monitor social media messages and things like that, to better listen to anyone that's on campus, as they always say, if you see something or hear something, say something. These are things that are really important, Grant.
Yeah, Chris, absolutely. So, I think, when you talk about the education process and moving that across, is that, a lot of our universities, I know you and I have walked into different scenarios where a college or a university was very siloed. And, you had the parking team that was doing their thing. They had a safety and security team that were doing their thing. They had maybe IT or facilities that were running the access control because it touched every building. And that's kind of the way they thought about doing that. Then maybe there's a police department, that's maybe smaller, but very agile. That's on campus. They may have detectives and they're doing investigations. So they need access to the video, the access control. And so we have all these different entities that are operating. And the one thing that ties them all together is, how they use and are they using the video system and the access control. And that's really where, it comes into play is that, we have to have that education process. We have to have everybody working on the same page. And, when we have that silo effect, when we walk in there, parking may be doing something that could really help the safety and security team, or the police department may be utilizing a technology that would really, really help, the parking team, or for the, the facilities team to work with the access control and their video side. So that's really where we have to kind of step in and say, hey, let's take all these silos and let's create an ecosystem where everybody's working together, IT, facilities, the parking management team, the police department, they're all working together And then, oh, by the way, yeah, we got to connect to the city or the town that's around us. And, because when there's a high-speed chase that goes from, just a downtown street that goes into a college campus, now they're into, they're kind of crossing into a different world. And that's really where we have to kind of make sure that everybody's working together. So, when I look at it, and I know when Chris and I look at it together, our police departments, they have to be able to utilize and maximize their resources. And so when they're using the video system, they need to know what's the latest and greatest analytics that they're working with. How can they increase their search time? How quickly can they clear cases? Because there's a lot of things that they have to work on. Our IT team, our facilities team, they have to be able to know, hey, we have a video system, we have the access control, we can put it together, we can integrate it so that now we can have all these types of solutions that can, once again, help decrease the time it takes to say, hey, this student or this faculty person was in this building at this time, and was it authorized? Was it unauthorized? Is it, using AI to understand, is that out of the norm? Is that student or person usually there from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then, on a couple of random days they were in there in the morning? How do we use AI to manage that? From a parking side, like Chris was talking about, our parking lots are different areas where there's a mix of commuter traffic, a mix of student traffic, employee parking, and then maybe it's people that are, vendors, contractors that are on site. How do we make that all work together? And so, once again, we're looking at ways that we can help our customers take their video system that, once again, may be a silo, but hey, how can we tie that into the police department's, license plate recognition system? How can we take the analytics that we can find a blue truck that was speeding through campus? Did it park somewhere? How can we find that blue truck with a license plate number and find it anywhere across campus? And those are the type of things when we talk about the risks, the challenges that our police departments ask, and our universities ask for. These are some of the solutions that we're trying to find. And once again, trying to make sure that these siloed organizations inside of the university or campus have a great way of working together.
At the end of the day, what is the value of the Symmetry Complete View video management? It literally is proactive and risk mitigation. And I can talk time and time about situations that we've had that I've heard stories about where situations have occurred and the capability not only in real time to see the video and see what's going on and mitigate that, but actually be able to go back and look at what happened in the situation. And after the fact, people are saying this happened and then it happened, really mitigating the risk and liability for that university because their responders acted accordingly and did what needed to do based on that incident and how much elevation of risk there was in place, and be able to show the video to the powers to be to mitigate any kind of legal liability. Faster response times, obviously with the technology we have today that we can give real-time response to be able to act on that video and have multiple cameras up in display and be able to react to situations that are very important to us. And obviously better evidence collection, because we've built the capabilities into our technology that ensure that the system is always recording. All the investment in these products does not do any good. And if you go back and think you have 30 or 60 or 90 days of storage, and you go back and you find out you only have 15 or 20 days because some incident happened with the system. We now have the capability to monitor every channel in real time and ensure that that security director can go to bed at night knowing that that system's recording. And if there is a situation where a camera's been vandalized or some type of situations happened within his topology, that we're giving him an alert in that capability as well. So we're really giving you the capability to do that. And then the high level integration to the analytics. We're not just talking about the old technology where we were kind of bolting systems together and creating an integration. Today, the integrations with an open architecture that we built, the APIs that are in place to constantly put the best of breed technologies together with our VMS, with our access control, and the ability to say that. And what we like to talk about, and I stole this from one of our really good salespeople that works over here on our side, is that the product's not future proof, it's future ready. And I think that's really important, that today's technology is moving at the speed of light, and there's always new things that are coming into play that we'll be able to integrate into our platform, and we're giving the customer the capability. We're not a trapped environment.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I think the keys for us is, when you talk about the analytics or anything like that, it's all great and good, and we want to be future ready to provide those type of solutions. But at the end of the day, if we're not easy to use, if Symmetry Complete View and the Symmetry Access Control aren't integrated to make life easier, to make life better, then what's the point? And so, what we talk about a lot, and obviously the proof's in the pudding, but when we are looking at the system out there, one of the biggest things for us is that, hey, how do we make sure the system is built properly? Chris brought up a great point, is that a lot of times analytics are really used to identify scenes in the camera, and that's what everybody's asking for, is video analytics. I want to identify this, I want to identify that, I want to find a blue truck and that has this. And those are all great, but at the end of the day, analytics that with Symmetry Complete View, we have backend analytics that will interpret the data and say, hey, within a couple of hours, within a couple of days, you're asking for 30 days of video, you're not going to get there. That's really important analytics. When your team, your security team, or your police department say, yes, Mr. Chancellor, yes, Mr. Dean, yes, yes, team out there, we're going to have 60 days of storage, and when it comes out that we don't, obviously the public and the institutions that pay for that, they have somewhat of a black eye for that kind of thing. So we make it easy to go there, so that we have a design tool that can really design the system out to make sure that you're getting enough hard drive space, enough storage space, the ability, if you want to provide access to entities outside of the university, that all can be designed and say, hey, in a critical situation, we need to have 30 people accessing the video live. Let's make sure we got enough processing power to handle that. And then, once again, when we talk about storage space, not only do we have the analytics from the camera side to provide those type of real-time alerts, but we also have analytics inside the system to say, hey, you want 30 days, you're asking for 30 days, you're not going to get there, and we're going to help you figure out how to get there. Those are some very important things to us. A simple pricing strategy. A lot of times when you're looking at open platform solutions, there's a lot of outside fees to make integrations work. Where Symmetry Complete View and Symmetry Access Control come into play is that we really provide that open architecture that is, once again, as Chris said, is future ready, and we provide all the integrations fee. It's not proprietary, and it provides all the integration levels that you want. But at the end of the day, it's very cost effective. There's no integration fees, because our two companies have partnered together to really provide that high level integration at a very simple cost structure, no additional cost to do that integration. So that really provides a unique fee structure for the environment, but they get our customers out there get all those extra benefits. One of the big things for us is that I think, when I walk on, and obviously a lot of what we do is not only planning out the system and designing the system, but we also have to make it help our customers understand, how much it's going to cost, what's it going to look like from a budget standpoint. And a really easy thing that I tell our customers, like, let's say we have a university, we'll use some nice round numbers. Let's say our university or campus has 500 cameras, and that's a good number to start with, 500 cameras. But hey, we have 1,000 users that may want to have access the iPad app or the mobile app. We may have another 1,000 users that want to have the full thick client that we can run the video wall, and we want to do the access control integration. We may want to have 1,000 users running the web client. The great thing about Symmetry Complete View, when it comes back to it, is the only thing we care about is the number of cameras. I don't care, everything else that we talk about, the web, the mobile app, the thick client, the video wall application, the access control integration, those are all built in. There's no additional cost for that. The only thing we charge for are the camera licenses. So something Chris and I said for years is, if you can count the number of cameras, you can price this out very quickly. And that makes it very simple to do.
That's a great point, Grant. And when Grant talks about the web client, the mobile app, and the desktop client, unique to our product is they all look identical. And why is this important? You have a lot of different people, as Grant, wanting to access video. It takes about 30 minutes to learn how to use our product. That's paramount as well. It's got to be easy to use. You have, a lot of different environments have high turnover and stuff like that. If you have to spend days learning how to use a system, nobody uses it. And that's one of the strong suits of our technology, is everything works together and it is very easy to use. And if I'm I'm back at my house and I want to look into the university because there's been an issue, I got the capability just to open up my iPad and look at the video the same way I look at my desktop client when I'm sitting in the office, or I can have the web client. And I'll give you a great example. I had one of our really big customers together. a big university. They port it over from the desktop client to the web client. It is a great tool that gives the capability for all their users to see it. And the IT department now loves the security department because it's very easy to manage. People don't want a lot of times manage a desktop client to all the different client workstations. They want something very easy to deploy, and the web client gives them that capability to have the functionality that they need at their fingertips, but the management tools that the IT department really likes to be able to manage who has access by the URL. And something else Grant talked about is our cloud capabilities now as well, that we literally within seconds can send a URL and allow the local responders to be able to see that video inside that campus without jeopardizing any ports or firewalls. This is huge.
Yeah, 100%, Chris. And you talk about, providing that access. The last thing I'll talk about from an ease to use standpoint is that it's user management. At the end of the day, like Chris said, is that if we can't provide users the ability to access the video, there's no point in us being involved in that project. When I walk into a lot of campuses and we're looking at how to make video systems easier and easier to manage, the Active Directory and LDAP come up, and because once again, in most VMSs, they definitely have ways to bring that in. But at the end of the day, it's how quickly can we make it happen, and then how diversified can we make it? And so with Symmetry Complete View and our Active Directory and LDAP integrations, it's very granular. We can set it up to where each individual group or an individual user can have access to those different environments very quickly. And so, whether it's a small university campus with maybe 20 users, or as Chris talked about, our large, universities that may have, 500 to 1,000 users on the system, our Active Directory can be tailored to fit those different environments. And it's something that once again, it simplifies the management and allows the entire university to access the system very quickly. And like Chris said, there's a lot of turnover. How quickly can we get those people on board? Once they just drop into a group on Active Directory, they're ready to go. They can access the system. And then, once again, from a training standpoint, less than 30 minutes, our users can access the system and really get up and running very quickly to run it.
Exactly. So, the technology really lends itself, and I think we can kind of wrap it up with this, some great points about what, who needs to see the video and who has access to it. And as Grant just mentioned, very granular. You might want your building engineers to be able to see how the maintenance teams are keeping up, different things around the facility, snow removal on the sidewalks and things like that. So, it's great to have the building engineers be able to access those exterior cameras. They don't really need to be seen in the dorms and things like that. So you have that functionality. Again, this gives them the capability to react to an area where, hey, the snow's building up or something, it's an icy condition, and they can dispatch their team to kind of react to that. So there's a lot of different stakeholders that are going to have the ability to use this product. So you got to keep that in mind, what this is going to bring to the table. Again, opening up the technology to include all the stakeholders that might benefit from the technology. And Grant, I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, Chris, I think, one of the things that we've talked about here a lot during the conversation, we make sure we identify this is open architecture. And so you've probably heard Chris and I mention a couple different times about the Symmetry Complete View product and the Symmetry Access Control on providing that open architecture. If you're coming into this webinar and as kind of really trying to understand how video works and basically how the security world operates, I would say it's one of the tougher things to kind of to really understand how the environment works and how all of us as technology manufacturers work together. When I came into the video space in VMS out of college, basically, we were coming out of a proprietary world. At the time, most manufacturers, they had their DVR systems, and they had, basically they had their own cameras, they had their own DVRs, and that's the way the world worked. You had your XYZ DVR, it worked with XY cameras, and there you go. And then we kind of moved away from that, and so as I started out with a video management company that we started, we were a completely open platform, and that's what our customers wanted. They wanted their own servers. They wanted their a VMS, and they wanted a camera from a third-party manufacturer. They wanted to be able to be completely diversified, if you will, using an economic term. They wanted to be diversified so that the server, the VMS, and the cameras were completely independent of each other, so that if they wanted to replace one, it wasn't a forklift change. They'd been burned by that, from the DVR days. If you look over the past 5 or 6 years, there's been a contraction in the technology environment for video surveillance, access control, and all the periphery products around that. There's been a contraction where now a lot of manufacturers, a lot of large multinational manufacturers, have purchased different products and put them together. And so now a lot of times our universities and our colleges, when somebody comes in and talks to them about the current technology, what they look at, they can say, oh yeah, by the way, my access control and my video system, my video management software and my cameras, they only do certain things and they only do it all together. And once again, we've kind of retracted into this proprietary world again. And that's where Symmetry Complete View and Symmetry Access Control really stand apart. Yes, we're united together as two separate manufacturers, providing a very cost-effective way to provide our customers a unique access control and video integration. However, we're not sitting here and talking about our cameras and the limitations that you can only use our cameras for video analytics, or hey, you can only maximize those video analytics to tie into that access control and video integration. That's not the way we work. We work with any type of camera out there, so those on-camera based analytics. We work with any type of maybe analytics that you're already working with, or different acoustic gunshot detection systems, all those type of things that we work with. Once again, we're completely open for those type of integrations. And that's really where the difference is that we've really kind of hung our hat on staying open and providing that open architecture so that our colleges, our universities, you can stick with whatever cameras you have in place today. You can stick with whatever analytics you have into play. And then our VMS and our access control can come in and replace what's existing there, but we're going to give you the ability to, like Chris said, be future ready, so that as new technologies come forward, they can use our open API and do those integrations. And so when we talk about open architecture, we're really standing pat and saying, yes, this is the way of the future. This is how you can stay ready. We can use what you have today and use all your existing products. We're not going to force you to make that change. But hey, when you're in the future, when you want to have different camera manufacturers, different analytics, we're going to be able to bring all those in and maximize those capabilities. And we're not going to say, hey, we're going to limit you to only what we offer. That's, once again, a different way that we go to market.
Yeah, excellent point. Yeah, we're bringing you the best of breed technologies into play. So it gives us the capability to do that. And I guess one of the things that's really important to recognize here is how we can bring this into a single pane of glass. Obviously, in the old world, you'd be able to go back and say, hey, I want to look at when a certain person walked in the building. And then you go back to your video management platform and be able to export that video. Today, it's all unified. Today, I can literally go and search a card, search a person across the enterprise. I can see exactly what doors they came into, and I literally can click on a button and export that video, and I can send that out because maybe the card was stolen, and this individual is now on campus, and I can send that video, and I can send a snapshot of that person to every person on campus. Hey, please keep an eye out if this person's not supposed to be on campus, and if you see them, please contact security. That is a major differentiator in the technology. In the past, it would take several minutes, maybe hours, to be able to go back to the system and interrogate it and find that information. Now, we virtually can react in real time. So that really gives us the capability to do that.
Yeah, and Chris, and the single pane of glass can be done, yes, on the thick client that most of our customers are used to, but it can be done on the iPad, the iPhone, the Android app, the web client as well too. So, and once again, with that unified solution, when we talk about that the deep integrations, once again, we want to be able to offer that across the entire set of products that we offer. And so whether it's the iPad, the iPhone, the Android device, those are all things that we can provide the integration that we're looking for. Most of our customers are used to just that one command center that has access to the access control and video being integrated. And once again, that's not what we're talking about here. We provide that unified solution across every device that you want to have it on. And once again, provide very easy use, whether it's that mobile guard person there or an officer sitting in their vehicle. And last year, once again, Security Operations Center, and once again, a lot of our, a lot of times we get pulled into a university or college setting because they're looking at kind of redoing their video wall, or the PD is going to upgrade the dispatch center, and they're trying to figure out how to maximize that system here. And once again, this is one of our campus environments, a live picture, or not live, but a picture of an actual environment that our customers are using. And so once again, when we talk about a Security Operations Center, we want to be able to provide a lot of different ways to access that video. And so this video wall can be connected to the entire campus. Chris and I have worked on environments where there's substations across the campus, and our dispatchers can control what those substations are looking at through our video wall software. So once again, the video management software that we offer doesn't just stop at that workstation that the dispatcher is using. It can go to a video wall, or it can go to a video wall on a substation. And one of the great things we love about our college and university environments is that they have a very heavy, investment in network technology. So most of our universities and colleges are heavily connected, and they're connected very well. So our folks and our dispatchers can connect to those police substations. They can connect to different the parking lot environments, and be able to control the video outputs and put those video wall environments up there. So it's a great environment to replicate that Security Operations Center across multiple places on campus.
Yeah, absolutely, and very, very cost effective. So one of the things that has come up recently is about the concerns of exported video. And I think this comes into play exactly what Grant was saying. Back, a few years ago, we had a DVR. We didn't have access to it remotely. We didn't have the functionality where we could export the video very easily without person literally being on site. Today, that's all changed. Today, we have remote access to it. We have the ability to store in the cloud. You have the issue where, somebody has it on their workstation and has it, and they put it on a jump drive and leave that jump drive on their desktop. And, that can be very vulnerable video that might be very sensitive to your organization. We've now built in the capabilities to encrypt all that video. We can encrypt all the video at rest, so there's no way to play it back unless you have our actual video player and the actual password that is assigned with that, the password keys, which literally use 256 AES encryption. So very, very high level encryption with that. One of the unique things on the next slide shows you how we can set the system up to be able to encrypt all that video as well and mitigate risk. So when you come down to what we really do at the end of the day is we reduce costs by the integration of these capabilities. Grant said it so well, the ability to use any of the cameras that you have currently in your system and use the latest and greatest cameras that are coming into play, and be able to use the analytics that are coming on those cameras that are no additional cost. So we really give you the capability to do that. We don't charge any integration fees between our products, so that saves you money. We're mitigating risk. And how are we mitigating risk? We're giving you the capability that we're assuring that we're always recording the video. As we talked about it, we're managing the encryption to the video, so we're not allowing anyone that has access to be able to see that video if that's really important. Third is Grant spent some time on talking about our Active Directory and LDAP management tools that allow you to be very granular in which sites you see, which cameras that they can see, and really manage the system from a granular capability where I might be able to see live video, but I can't export video or I can't record video. And at the end of the day, we monitor and we log every activity into the system. So anything that's been done in the system, we can go back and verify who had access to it, what they did, and when they did it. So we've got a very strong chain of custody capability within our product. So it gives us the capability to do that. We've also built the capabilities for failover in our product so that, if a server goes down somewhere, we have the capability to do redundant recording. We can do it in the cloud if you want to. So we have a lot of flexibility in our system. And at the end of the day, we're empowering people. We're empowering people to be able to act in real time and be able to see video without jumping through hoops, without providing high level, robust gaming machines to be able to see the video on. You can use your common workstation, your common laptop, you can use your web client, you can use your iPhone and give the capability. And the more people that have obviously eyes on the video, the safer your environment is.
Yeah, great point, Chris. And I think that just really sums it up well, is that, our goal and our ability, well, like we talked about from the beginning here, is to empower our universities and our campus environments to really maximize what they're doing. So, we take that open architecture, we allow them to start with what they have, and then once again, be able to be future ready in, whatever cameras or analytics are coming out to really be robust, to provide that robustness to their system. Those things are all can be brought into play. And once again, we empower our universities and our campus environments to really be able to bring all those silos that traditionally have kind of stayed apart, bring them all together. And we don't have to be worried about who's controlling what, and who's got the budget, who's got that. Once again, we're going to provide the ability to bring all those silos together to build out a single ecosystem, so that all those technologies that we're using, they don't operate in those silos. They all operate together, and they can basically maximize what the university is doing. So at the end of the day, Chris, I appreciate your insights today. Thanks for joining us. The one thing I will add, Chris, is that my youngest is still in middle school, so I haven't had the chance of enjoying the being on campus as a parent yet. So I don't want you to lump me in with that. But I will have a little while, a couple of years till Brooks gets there and gets to college. So, but once again, I appreciate you jumping on today and providing all that insight. And I'm glad we were able to kind of talk a little bit about that symposium you were at. With active shooters, because that provides, once again, it's not directly related to how, the video and access control that we're talking about today, but it's kind of an invaluable resource that we can provide our customers out there. It's just kind of some of the thought leadership ideas that we're out there hearing about on a daily basis.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Grant. Great working with you as well, as always.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And once again, if you have any questions or things, you can reach out to myself and the Salient team. And once again, and Chris leads the AMAG team over there as well. You can reach out to their side as well too. And once again, they're two separate companies, but once again, that open architecture, you can call either one of us to talk about these different solutions. And to the crowd out there, whether you're an end user or you're maybe an integrator that supports the campus environment, we really appreciate you jumping on today. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to any feedback or questions you may have. And just kind of to start that off there, I know we're doing this webinar. I know we have some questions that are coming in, and I think we'll let our moderator maybe ask some questions that maybe have popped up here.
Chris, Grant, thank you so much for delivering an insightful presentation on enhancing campus security. And it's a really incredibly important topic right now, and a difficult application area to secure. It was really great to discover how Symmetry Complete View can act as a proactive as well as a reactive technology. And I just have a few questions to go through with the both of you. And I wanted to start with the communication and education point. So I suppose, how do you best educate staff and administrators on how to respond to incidents? Obviously, I'll come to both of you, but perhaps, Chris, you could start, and then we'll follow on to Grant.
We spent a lot of time on this. This is very important. We redesigned our product. We took it out to our best end users, and we said, okay, try it, see what you think. And they made a lot of different ideas and suggestions on how to lay out the graphic user interface and the GUI and how those applications work, so they can basically work out of the box. And I will tell you, when you're using our web client or our mobile app, whether we're Android or iOS, it's literally just open it up and start using it. It's so easy to use, you don't need training. But for that higher level of education, we've also done YouTube videos on how to use the product to the best application. And what we do is a lot of visual activity inside of our application, not only visual, but also audio alerts on the system. We've built the capabilities in to literally give a display of those areas of interest that may be a threat, not only from a visual standpoint to pop up on the screen automatically and alert you, also a mapping environment where it shows you directly inside that building or outside that building where that camera is displayed, and additionally giving you audio alerts to alert you as well. So those three things really come into play. So we give that visual audio effect, and even can design WAV files to say, North Campus door number 68. So that operator knows exactly where that application is at. Grant?
Yeah, I think I'll take a look from a different angle, Chris. I think one of the big things, if I was running a university or if I was running a college campus environment, probably the number one thing I would want to do is when I'm talking to my manufacturers out there is I want to see, once again, Chris brought up a good point. How do they basically getting their feedback on the product, and then how are they enhancing the user experience through user groups? Most of our university campuses, they have the PD, the IT department. They're very hands-on. So if I was evaluating solutions, I would make sure that you are working with the technology providers that allow you to work and manage the product as your own, and you're not relying upon a third party to manage that. The second thing I would do is that I would make sure from an education standpoint that the different users have access directly to the manufacturer to provide feedback. And so, one of the things that Chris and I have done for years is we've offered, different symposiums for our users to come, whether it's into Austin at HQ or somewhere across the country, to come in and talk to us about the things that they're running on campus. And that's once again, like Chris said, that's how we develop the product, is around what our end users are asking for.
And moving on to the next question, you had a slide that mentioned deterrence through visible surveillance, which is a point I wanted to delve in just a little bit further. So, Chris, in which situations would you perhaps prioritize technology as a deterrent over, say, the user experience? And would this differ depending on different areas of campus?
Well, I think what we've seen a major change in the industry, whether we're talking commercial security environments, retail, or campus security environments, is educating people on the capabilities of what we're delivering today. So it's really having the situation where I've talked to security directors, and it's like, hey, we want people to know what we have the ability to do. We want them to know that we can monitor the parking lots for, a person that might have been, terminated, or a person that's not wanted within our environment anymore. And we can monitor the license plate as soon as they come onto campus. So that's a major deterrent. The ability to show the quality of the video that's being recorded on a daily basis. You see it a lot of times on public display monitors as you walk into a building, that they tell you that you're being recorded, and you can see the quality of that recording. That is a major deterrent going forward. So people are becoming much more educated on the capabilities of the technology, and that is creating the ability for them to just basically tell those people, stay away from our environment, because if you come on campus, we're going to be able to identify you very quickly and be able to react.
Absolutely. And that's redefining that entire conversation between privacy and security. Lastly, we'll move on to our last question. You mentioned AI. And of course, despite this being technology that has been around for a fairly long time, the rise of generative AI has heightened this use case in the physical security world. And Grant, I'll come to you. But how do you maintain the safe and ethical use, I suppose, of AI, particularly in the campus security application, where you're dealing with, students and privacy and all those kind of different regulations and legislation around it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the big things that we also have to talk about first is that when you're going into a matter and trying to understand exactly what you as a customer want, and you're going to talk to your technology partners, the first thing to really ask is and understand is that a lot of things that, AI is a very catchy word, and it's a big catch-all word. So one of the things that you really have to understand and ask your technology providers is, hey, really lay out for me what is truly like analytics, something that we're just analyzing what's going on the screen. We're basically scraping data from that image, and we're providing an easier way to consume that data versus what is driven by AI. And I think a lot of times where we get asked and to do that, that's the first thing we have to do is kind of narrow down exactly what we're talking about. The second thing is that when we're talking about this, and obviously a university or a college environment is something where you have to be very particular about with that. Once again, when we talk about those different silos, one of the things we probably didn't mention earlier was the legal side. And pulling those thought leaders on campus and the legal to see exactly what is what their kind of their duties by the students are, the faculty, and being able to provide that. The last thing I'll talk about is that when we talk about there's a lot of different AI providers out there, and what I'm looking for, let's say if I was an end user, what I would be looking for is what AI companies that aren't storing my data. I would rather, as a person coming on campus, I'd rather be stored as an algorithm versus my own personal picture. And so those are things that when I'm looking for AI companies, I want to deal with manufacturers that aren't storing data of me or my fellow classmates or the faculty on site. What I want is I don't want to be uploading an entire database of people. What I would want to be able to do is want to work with a technology that basically turns people into algorithms, so there's really no personal data being shared. And that's one of the main starting points on where I start and say, here's how I want my environment to look if I'm going to be using AI.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a fantastic point you marked there. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the time, but thank you both so much for your valuable insights. If anybody would like to find out more, you can visit the AMAG and Salient websites at amag.com and salientsys.com. Thank you.